Didn't mean to send you to the holy father. Now I'm surrounded in a dawn of fire. Dawn of fire.
Timmy J on the track.
Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Stop paying attention to the hustle and bustle of Lagos. Take a chill pill.
Problem in the finish.
Calm down, calm down. Holiday to Mozambique. Follow me go to Mozambique.
On the switch, we are the perfect guide to your destination. Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
All right, it's time for Political Roundtable on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is SAHEED FUHADE. This is the show where we look at the major issues in the political space. Also, we all try to set the agenda when it comes to major issues affecting Nigerians at this time. And that's what we will be doing on the show this evening. We're going to be having Barrister Curtis Adigba in the studio, Joseph Folorunsho and Nuruddin Adegbero. So the table is complete. The round table is complete for us to look at two major issues this evening. The first will be our governors. I like to call them the emperor governors of Nigeria. The governors, or what I can call governors at the state level. How accountable are Nigerian governors to the electorates? The Nigerian governors, how accountable are they to the electorate? We need to look at activities of our governors and ask ourselves if indeed they are accountable to the people. So that will be the first issue on the roundtable. There are three issues that we're going to use to highlight that. Of course, recent activities of our governors in the country. We'll use that to highlight some of the issues with governance at the state level, and to ask ourselves if indeed we are doing enough to hold leaders at the state level accountable to the electorates or the people generally. The second one will be in the spirit of setting the agenda. Just after the elections, I promised that Political Roundtable will be used to set the agenda for critical issues affecting Nigerians. I think we've delved into reforms in the electoral process. We've looked at the oil sector. We've looked at critical sectors of the Nigerian economy. I think we've also looked at the power sector. Today, we will be looking at education in Nigeria, tertiary education in Nigeria, and that will be coming from the recent statement by the Minister for Education, saying that the federal government will now be granting universities autonomy, full autonomy, as he said, as he mentioned it. And ASUU has reacted. They've cautioned the federal government from taking that kind of decision. There has been argument about university autonomy, whether it's going to be more of administrative autonomy or financial autonomy or both. ASUU is talking about the fact that autonomy does not necessarily mean government will answer funding of tertiary institutions in the country. He says he supports, that's the ASUU president, he supports the idea of administrative autonomy for the universities, but the government still has to continue to fund tertiary education in the country. So that will be the two major issues on the roundtable this evening. The first one, our governors. I call them the emperor governors, and we're asking ourselves, how accountable are these governors to the electorate? Are we doing enough to hold them to account when it comes to governance at the state level? And then, of course, we are looking at university education autonomy, what I call tertiary education autonomy in the country. The federal government is already giving the idea that that is the direction they will be going as far as tertiary education is concerned in the country. ASUU is already calling for caution. A number of civil society organizations are also calling for caution, asking what will be the fate of the children of the poor in Nigeria. Are we saying that they will no longer be able to go to school if that happens? So that will be the two major issues for consideration on the roundtable. We have Barrister Curtis Adigba in the studio with us. We have Joseph Olorunsho in the studio and Nuruddin Adegbenro in the studio. Good evening, Barrister Curtis Adigba.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
All right, Joseph Olorunsho, how are you doing? Good evening.
Good evening, and happy raining.
It's been 3-4 days of rain in Lagos, and
nature.
And I think people have said that has also exposed the infrastructure deficit in Lagos. Most parts of Lagos are heavily flooded. The roads are giving way. It's terrible in most parts of Lagos. Somebody sent me a video of somewhere in Aboru, and I'm like, really?
Have you seen Banana Island?
Well, yeah, water.
Where I live,
that's why it's called Banana
Island.
Island.
I live in Ogun State. There's no flooding.
Well, but honestly, it's been a very tough, period for Lagosians who live in flood-prone areas. It's been terrible. Nuruddin Adegbenro, how are you doing?
Well, I'm good. Good evening, and good evening to our listeners. Don't let us talk about the issue of rain now, because it has exposed, it has even brought us back to many years, not even the time of military. I must confess, because this Lagos, for some of us that we were born here, we school in Lagos, we know how Lagos was in the early 80s. We know what it is now. Then it's terrible, I must confess. There are some certain roads that in Lagos we normally use it to proud. That forget they are nothing again. Just imagine Obakran Road.
Well, a lot.
Just imagine Awolowo Road.
I'm sure that
Mainland Road.
I'm sure that we're going to look at infrastructure in Lagos. It will get to a point where we really dissect infrastructural development in Lagos, and that will come from what I call counting the cost. I think it's important that we look at the monies that are generated in Lagos. We look at what has been achieved so far from 1999 till date. There are people who have argued that maybe if there was change in leadership in Lagos in terms of political parties, maybe Lagos would have been a better state. That it's fact that we've had just the same political class ruling Lagos is the reason why so much has not been done in terms of infrastructural development.
In Nigeria, we change it from one party to the other.
Okay, so that might not be the argument. Really. It's just about the people.
What has changed?
But I think at some point we need to look at governance in Lagos and see whether, if we were to really count the cost.
Not only in Lagos, all over the
country,
in different states.
I know the one of Lagos, we have to be saying it. Maybe because
we
live
in
here.
Lagos.
We live in
Then
Lagos.
two, the money being generated in Lagos too should call for, and the number of people in Lagos should also call for more development.
And the fact that Lagos is the most indebted state in the country now.
I did an analysis between Lagos State and Rwanda as a country.
As a country, yes.
Just last year, I put side by side their earnings for the last 2 years. Rwanda smaller than Lagos is smaller than Rwanda in terms of land area.
But the economy, GDP is...
in fact, Lagos earn more money than Rwanda. Rwanda has got an armed forces. They have a police.
So they have to fund all of that.
And have to fund all of that. And when you look at the deliverables for their people,
Rwanda
is far ahead.
You will have added Denmark to that Rwanda.
You understand? No, I decided to compare Africa to Africa.
To Africa. So that
I don't want to go to Denmark. Like I told the story of Denmark here.
All right. So anyways, like I said, there's a lot that we still need to talk about. But I think whatever we're going to say today, as far as holding our governors accountable, would also expose some of these things. No doubt, Nigeria's 36 state governors are regarded as some of the most powerful politicians in the country, whether anybody likes it or not.
In the world.
I just want to limit it to that. But they are very powerful, They control budgets, just like Barrister Curtis has said, that is bigger than many African countries, and they wield strong influences in the political space. Again, just putting figures to what Barrister Curtis have just said. As of 2015, Lagos State, for instance, had an expected GDP of about $91 billion. That's nearly $30 billion more than that of the GDP of Kenya, which is a fairly large, country in Africa. Kaduna State, for example, as of 2015, had a GDP of about $10 billion. That is higher than 22 African countries, including Benin Republic, Rwanda, and Guinea. So again, just bringing it back that look, the Lagos GDP, the Lagos economy, I'm sure by the time you put close to 20 countries in it will be bigger and far bigger than that. But in so many ways, given Nigeria's immense size and population, state governors are very powerful. Even than the president, some people would argue, especially when it comes to the issues that directly affect the living of the people, the issue of infrastructure and service delivery when it comes to the democratic experiment in the country. In Nigeria's federal system, governors are primarily responsible for implementing policies, which gives them huge leeway to develop and interpret those policies as they so wish. Now, we're going to look at 3 recent events, using that to highlight activities of our governors. The first, of course, has to be what happened recently in Ogun State. I promised over the week that we'll try to bring Mr. Wale Adedayo to speak with us on Political Roundtable. That's I think he has just been impeached.
Yes.
Is it okay? We should use the word embattled because the news is that he has been impeached.
He has been impeached.
Yeah. So we tried to reach out to him. I still spoke with him this afternoon, and he said that look, there's a lot that will happen in the coming weeks, and he will find time to speak with us in the coming week. But he said a lot of things while I was on phone with him, and I asked him to clear some misinformation that when the issue of his letter to Chief Olusegun Osunbagbo, the former governor, the EFCC and ICPC happened, people had said that just few hours after that, he had honored the invitation of the governor and had gone with the other local government chairman to prostrate for the governor. And I asked him if that was the truth, whether at any point he also joined these other local government chairmen to prostrate for it. And he said no, that what happened was that after he wrote that letter, the secretary to the state governor invited all local government chairman to meet with the governor. And as a local government chairman, he didn't want to stay away from the meeting, even though some people had advised him. But he said it wasn't a personal thing. So he attended the meeting, and that it was at that meeting that they were now coercing him, to, rescind whatever he has written, retract his letter. And he said no, he stood his ground that he will never do that. And that people should go and look at that video again if there is a complete video, that he was never part of people that prostrated to apologize to the governor. I also asked him the issue with the governor, really, the allegations. I said that, look, he's not fighting with the governor personally, that it is him today as chairman, it could be someone else tomorrow. And what he's saying is that it is completely nonsensical for the governor to be telling local government chairman that he's helping them to spend their money on their behalf. that is what they've been telling him. That as an elected,
but that's what happens in all the states.
No, that's what he's saying. I'm quoting him because again, we are going to definitely be said. Look, he has a lot of engagements, but he would definitely make an appearance on the show. That look, how would it sound if, for example, the president wakes up tomorrow and he tells governors that look, your funds,
I'm going to spend your money for you.
No, I've even spent. That's what they tell them, that I've paid your salary, I've done projects for you. That he has the mandate of the people of Ijebu East. And there are deliverables, there are promises he made to them based on expectations as far as the allocations are concerned. That look, what he's expecting the governor to do is to publish statements of accounts showing monies that have gone to him. And then the issue of his impeachment, which is the most recent development from that, he said that, look, I think about 5 or 6 councillors had five out of 11 and announced that they had impeached him, that he's not even annoyed with them, that he knows that they are just there doing a hatchet job, and that look, his own interest is to correct whatever.
But do you know the irony?
Yes.
The same people he's fighting for
are the ones out there going.
The same people he's fighting for are not even raising their voices.
To speak up.
To speak up in his support. You see, this is why people don't want to put their lives on the line. I know somebody who said, I kept fighting for the ordinary people of Nigeria. And for so many years, I was locked up. I was detained. I was dealt with. I changed sides. In 6 years, I've been appointed ministers twice. So it's always better to be on the other side.
I know who you are talking about. I know who you are talking about. Do you know that, just to confirm what you have just said, a very senior advocate of Nigeria also in a recent, or one of the interviews, has said that, look, some of them as lawyers or some of them as activists stay too long in the trenches fighting for the people. While they were doing that pre-1999, some smart Nigerians joined politics and have been getting the benefits of nation.
Of course.
Why they remain in the trenches? And he said that, look, I says, you know, he's moving to politics. He's joining that because staying in the trenches has not given them anything. You fight for the people. You suffer for the people. You try to change the narrative, and nobody recognizes your efforts. So,
People don't even care.
Chief Gani
Memory, yes.
Want to be president of Nigeria. I don't think he get you for
NCP.
NCP.
Nobody was waiting for it.
Father, I want to try governor of.
Under NCP.
Ekiti, yeah.
Under NCP.
It's as if it's not.
How many people today remember Dr. Bekoranson?
Bekoranson, yes. Of blessed memory.
That even gave room for primary center in Nigeria.
You understand? Even his brother,
Lukwe Ransom Kuti, yes.
Yeah, I mean, these were guys who laid their lives. They had excellent pedigree to become whatever they wanted, but they chose to fight for the ordinary people of this country. And that's exactly what you see. Even in the studio here, when we raise issues that are objective, trying to point
at critical aspects of
issue, like few days ago, I wrote an article after the announcement, appointing Yemi Cardoso as CBN governor. I had penned a post where I argued that whether the president likes
the legality of it.
But I said that the choice was an excellent one, but I have two problems: optics and timing. I said I won't talk about optics because a lot of people would think I'm being political. But let's look at the timing, for instance. You have a sitting governor who is suspended.
Not removed.
Under that law, he's still a governor.
It's because he's suspended, yeah.
And then you also have an acting CBN governor. Now, the acting CBN governor as a deputy governor has a secure tenure.
Yes.
The suspended CBN governor has a secure tenure. Now, you announce that you have appointed the
you clear everything
completely.
And every other deputy were removed there.
It would have been neater if you ask the current suspended governor to resign his appointment, like it happened with Onoye, where because the federal government couldn't get to third in the Senate under Saraki, they opted for him to resign. Do you understand? So if you go to him now and say,
soft landing, whatever arrangements, can you just resign?
Or since you have a National Assembly that you have your friends
you can
as managers,
start the process to remove him.
Once they come back, you bring a request
to remove him,
and you get the two thoughts and remove him. Then you have a clean slate and you can go.
That has not been done.
What people don't understand is that democracy is not about the whims and caprices of those who are in power. It's about obeying the laws, adhering to these laws.
Yeah, the rule of law.
You understand what I'm saying? And the argument I've heard, counter argument, is that President Jonathan removed Sanusi that way.
So if he did it the wrong way, must you repeat the same thing?
And what I've said to them is that we don't elect new governments to repeat the mistakes.
The same mistake of the past.
We want, in fact, we don't even elect government to repeat the same progress of the current government.
Raise the bar higher.
We want them to
go higher.
Last week we discussed issue of a system. System.
Processes and systems,
Now, look at it this way. The presidency is going to send those names to the Senate. Maybe you feel that the Senate, if I'm allowed to use the word, maybe they don't know the...
No. Joseph, what by Sarkozy is saying is that, look, we should be process-driven in everything we do. There's a process about appointing a CBN governor.
Do you know that...
Maybe they forgot it.
During the time of Jonathan, Sanusi was in court challenging the process before Emefiele went to the Senate. Because when you are appointing a CBN governor, what you need is just a simple majority of senators.
Yes.
But when you are removing
two-thirds.
Why? Because that office is secured and protected from political interference.
So that's why even the removal is not as easy as appointment.
Whether the president likes him or not, he cannot just remove him
by fiat.
Now there are those who have argued that suspension is not
in the rules
allowed
in the rule.
However, it has been used, and once you put somebody on suspension, technically it's still a substantive person. Now, so in this case where you have an acting governor who has a secure tenure, don't forget that deputy governors also go to the Senate to be appointed, and they can only be removed by two-thirds of votes in the Senate in support of the motion to remove them. This has not happened. Well, people say, you know what? Because it happened under one government, why can't we do it under our own government? So are we then making progress, or we are just standing on the spot?
Well,
even again, Oga Fuad, again, we condemn coup in Africa, or military is not a good thing. But our activity is as if we follow
that pattern
of military.
Just doing things anyhow,
On our own,
just give the command and it becomes law.
And we see some people that will be clapping for.
Well, I don't want us to digress too much. Let's not look at our governors. Like I said, we've highlighted the issue of Ogun State as it is. Mr. Wale Adedayo is still saying that look, he has not retracted whatever he wrote against the governor. He still maintains his position. And that he will be going to court. That was what he told me.
No, he has gone to court.
He has gone to court. There's a case in court already.
By September 22, there's going to be...
In fact, that's what he said, that look, there will be more to talk about because there are a lot that will come out of the court processes he has initiated against the state government. But that is Ogun State. While we're still dealing with that, in Edo State, we have the governor who has suddenly become the alpha and omega. Apart from, after so many years of being in power, he has now conducted what is considered a very ridiculous local government election.
When he was fighting Oshomole,
every other thing he accused
and
him.
he was condemning
Godfatherism, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
I told you this battle was about who becomes the real godfather of Edo politics. I told you guys.
So it was not really about the Edo people.
No, it wasn't about Edo people. It was about him displacing, removing Oshomole
from the picture
and then
to take over the seat.
Taking over. That was all the battle, nothing else. All the grammar about it's about Edo people,
equality,
it's about justice,
accountability.
You know the words that have suffered most in Africa: justice, fairness, and equality, equity. All those big grammar. We deploy them only when we want power or when we want an advantage.
But when they're on that seat,
yes.
So because again we've seen situations where a deputy governor that was in the trenches with him fighting Adams Oshiomhole, who had been touted the godfather, is now taking a serious, how do I put it? He's now on the other side. To the extent that even the governor had to remove the office of the deputy governor from the government house.
He has changed his media team.
He has suspended them completely.
But this is not new. This governor pulled down the roof of the State House of Assembly.
I want to repair.
That he wants to repair because of rumors that they were going to
so he has a history.
Apple sand in the front of the gate.
Oshomole's house and blocked. Tippers dropped sand and blocked access to Oshomole's house.
So well, again, the second one, like I said, we are going to highlight 3 issues. The third one, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu is back after days in Germany to take care of his health.
At Ibadan?
And he has been ruling from Ibadan.
The capital of politics
What is and Daka told us that President Jonathan
can rule from anywhere he wants.
So that's even from Europe and Saudi Arabia.
So Ibadan is close to those things.
By the time he gets to
already, he came back and he has been ruling that state. Although he has transmitted a letter to the state assembly and the deputy governor to say he's back. But the PDP in Ondo State is shouting that when did the seat of power in Ondo from is it Alagbaka in Akure? When did he move to Ibadan?
PDP people. When the late Agabu was there, was he not in Lagos governing sometimes in Akure?
But what we are saying is that he's back, and we're already seeing that somehow the template of Edo State is already being followed. There are already reports in the news that he has also suspended all the media aids of the deputy governor.
Yes, they're having problems.
That look, the information again is that some of them were revealing some information that he felt was detrimental to his status as a governor who was trying to sort his health out. There are people who have also said his wife is now in the fray of everything. Betty.
No, he has been in the fray.
Akeredolu.
Yeah, she has been in the fray.
Again, that's not new.
That is not new.
During the debate, the last debate for the election, he said, Ondo people got 2 governors for the price of 1. He said so in the course of the debate. Yeah. That's not new.
That's not new.
No.
So again, we look at these things and ask ourselves, because I just had to highlight the 3. We have a lot of cases of how our governors have become
Kogi State.
Like I said, let's just leave it to the 3. I'm sure in the course of this discussion, we will remember some of the activities of our governors. But I just wanted to highlight the 3. And I'm going to start this with Mr. Curtis Adegba. We look at it. We've talked about governance in Nigeria, dividends of democracy, the powers of the governor, and the fact that, look, everybody seems to forget some of these governors. In fact, even as media people, if you ask me the names of some governors in Nigeria, I would probably have to do a Google search because they are just there quietly enjoying the resources of the people, living larger than life, controlling political space, doing nothing practically, just faffing around with the resources of the people. And nobody talks about them. Every day you read the paper, Tinubu this, Tinubu that. The same thing Buhari.
Before that was Buhari. So before that was Jonathan.
How is it that our governors, despite all the powers they have in the political space, have become so invincible? Is it a function of the media not doing enough? Is it a function of the people not understand the structure of governance? What's the missing link? Why our governors have become so invincible despite the powers they wield?
Let me make this statement. I, Curtis Adegba, if I'm given the choice to choose between being a governor and a president,
you go for governor.
I'll be a governor. I'll be
because
governor.
Of the reality.
Yes, I'll be a governor. You know why? The governors collectively control close to 49%.
Yes, of the resources.
Of the resources of this country. And yet they have jurisdictions, small areas. Some have bigger areas that they have.
Some are very small.
And some have very small areas. They have.
Bayelsa, for example,
now,
how many local governments?
Now, in spite of that, except for few bright spots where you have some governors, and it has been epileptic really, because you have this governor come and perform a little bit well. You expect that the next person will come and build on it. He goes back again completely from where the other man stopped. Now, I think it was about 3 years ago that this video trended. It was a school inter-house sports that young boys were doing relay and exchange of baton.
Yeah.
Yes. And the guy who ran the third leg was very fast. Now, when he got to the fourth guy and he gave him, instead of that guy going forward, he started running back. The teachers and everybody were chasing him, calling him, no,
come back.
And you see the determination and the speed with which he was going back. And when
going the wrong way.
Yes. When I saw that thing, the thing that came to my mind is that you can also be very fast when you're on the wrong path. And that you can also be very fast when you are trying to reverse something. Destruction is a thoughtless art. You don't need skills. You don't need skills. Now, what has happened to this country is tragic. And I say tragic, especially in this crop of governors from 1999 up until date. Don't forget that in the in the Second Republic of Shagari, we had governors that basically defined governance within their space. I can point at them. Mbakwe in Imo State, Jim Mobodo in Anambra. Onabanjo,
Ogun State,
Ambrose Ali,
Benue State,
Aperaku in Benue State,
Latif Jakonde in Lagos,
Latif Jakonde, Ali Tatari in Bauchi,
Bola Yoyo State,
this guy, Adamu
Ata
was from Kwara State.
That was the Second Republic.
These guys left marks. Indelible marks
in their different states.
In fact, what the current governments are doing are simply struggling to retain
what those leaders have done.
And yet they have more money. Now, the problem is that, like you rightly said in your introduction, they have a free ride. If I go to my local government now, even the phone calls that I get from home, what they tell me is that this Tinubu government is so hard.
It's just Tinubu.
And I say to them, no, this is not Tinubu government alone. You have years father, Reverend Alia.
He's there now as governor.
In Benue, first of all, I said, it's your local government chairman and then him. Unfortunately, your local government chairman doesn't get any money because they are taking all the funds at the state capital. Local government funds are piggy banks for governors. And that is why it is difficult for them to conduct elections into local governments.
They prefer the administrators.
They prefer to appoint interim committees for the local government that they are the House of Assembly that in their pockets. Unlike the president who can be challenged by members of the National Assembly.
The state assemblies.
there is no, listen, there is no state assembly. Why the state governors can own civil servants salaries and pensioners, it cannot own any state house of assembly.
Even the allowances.
The allowances. You know what the problem is? They fight over who becomes speaker of any state house assembly. It's tough because the governors want to put someone there in their pockets and control them. Now, the problem that is facing this country, like Fashola, former governor, once said, that the governors control everything, but the president is responsible for all the failures. You have governors who will leave state roads undone.
Jump on federal roads
because of the money they want to get back from the federal government. I said something and somebody said it's extreme. I said there are states in the country where the governor spends more money on his family than he spends on the state in 4 years.
Yes. There are many.
There are so many of them. And at the end of the day, after spending 4 or 8 years when they are leaving, they award themselves huge severance package.
And then retire to the
Senate. Margaret Thatcher, it was Margaret Thatcher who said that states are artificial construct. That people are found in communities, and in the communities, it's local government that they're better suited for local government because that's where the communities are. You look at, we said here, if you go to the United Kingdom, especially in England, for instance, you have the federal government and you have local governments that are known as boroughs. There are no states in the United Kingdom. There are no states. Are they not doing well?
Of course, why
in
not?
fact, our governors go there for holidays.
They stand in the train.
And stand in the train. These were things provided by a sub-national government that they don't believe should exist. And the chief argument, and this is not about APC, PDP, PRP, LP.
It's the same thing across board.
The governors are united
on this.
As far as this issue is concerned, it's just like the unity among National Assembly members when it comes to their allowances, salaries, and emoluments.
Yeah.
You don't have anybody coming out to squeal on what is going on. Okay? In fact, recently we saw that the man that was most offended by the claim by some Nigerians that each senator will get about 100 and something million palliative was a Labour Party senator.
I was arguing.
And some people are killing themselves. Labour Party. What's the difference? So the truth of the matter is that if not for the federal government activities, this country would have collapsed completely. You won't have roads to travel on. You won't have airports to do it. All the airports that the majority of the governors say they are
non-functional.
Go to the one in Ekiti. They brought military aircraft with capability to land under any condition.
And for the optics, and that's the end.
For the optics, to inaugurate the airport. After that, how many planes have gone to that place? It's not even finished. So, and the same governors will tell you, local governments are not federating units. They shouldn't exist. But when they bring money, 20.something% for local government, they take it and pocket it. And I've always asked them this same question I'm going to ask here. In a true federal system, which they are used to, do governors go to the capital territory to share money? Don't governors generate their income? If you go to the United States, let's assume the United States is through a true federal state. Each state in the United States has got its own constitution. They have court system up to the Supreme Court of the state. All right? They have, in fact, the US has developed to the point that you now even have townships as administrative units with township police. Here that we argue that local government should not exist.
But should just exist for the sake of it.
But it should just exist for the sake of them collecting the funds from local government. So they are actually the problem. They are the emperors. And you know, the only person that has attempted to deal with the governors was former President Obasanjo.
He kept talking about it.
And he didn't deal with them because he wanted to deal with them. He was pushed into dealing with them. Recall that the former governor of Abia State, who John Zikalu had ganged up with other governors in 2003 to ensure that Obasanjo was removed for Atiku. And Obasanjo swore that once he's re-elected, he's going to deal with
Deal
them.
with the governors, yes.
And he used the instrumentality of the EFCC.
To deal with a lot
5
of them.
House members will impeach a governor.
Although the way he was dealing with them was also very questionable.
Questionable. And you know what happened? They learned from it. And now they have speakers and leadership of the State House of Assembly in their pockets. That as soon as they get wind of anything, the governor will take them and go and hide them somewhere. So nobody will be able to reach them. So it's unfortunate, but these guys are our main problem in this country. In fact, just like you argued, why they are controlling the funds of the local government, the president cannot control their funds.
Not even for 1 month.
You remember when President Buhari signed Executive Order 10?
10, yes.
And
they all went to court.
All of them
unanimously across party lines.
They all went to court.
They went to court to challenge it.
They sent the Attorney General. All of them.
You know what?
Yeah.
If you look at it, if we go back memory lane with this governor, immediately from I think 2007, Yar'Adua governor were instrumental for Yar'Adua to be president of Nigeria, led by
they are always instrumental.
Delta State.
They are always instrumental.
Jonathan, in and out, they were instrumental for Jonathan to be president. They were equally instrumental for Jonathan
remover
to be out of when they have
this governors forum
and the rest of them. When we now even this current president,
the governors were instrumental.
Because when Erufai came out and said the power must the other side. But
Nuruddin, let me ask you, how do we hold, because I looked at the whole thing, even the instrumentality of the anti-graft agency seems not to be working. Although there have been arguments, which I'm going to ask by Mr. Curtis when I get this, your thoughts on this, as to whether the EFCC can actually investigate state funds. You know, we've had lawyers arguing. There was a time when Lisa Bakoba I'd argued that no, they cannot and all of that. But again, how many of the cases, a lot of these governors still have their cases, being handled by the EFCC, and we have not really seen convictions. So how can we get our governors to be more accountable to the people? The recent one is the 2 billion that has been released to them by the federal government. You can see that even the president said that, look, I've done my part to go and hold your governors responsible. And in our analysis of how the 2 billion has been managed, nothing. It's just been, there's been nothing really tangible that has come out from how those funds have been managed. And at every point when something big is to come out for the people, you have the governor stepping forward to say, look, let's be in charge. How do we get the governors to be more accountable to the people?
It is so unfortunate that we cannot hold them accountable.
Don't
let us disturb ourselves. Don't let us disturb ourselves. You could recall that in 1979 to 1983, upon the way people want to rate Shehu Shagari's government,
the governors,
you could see the emblem of development being carried out by state governors. In fact, they are the ones that draw a template for what we are still using till date.
At that time, the Second Republic.
At that particular time. Now, between that period, 1985, during the time of Babangida, down to 1998, you recall that even the performance of state administrator at that particular time,
in the different states,
still above the board compared to what we have now. So anytime some people are saying military is done, I just look at them. Then let's now talk from 1999 till date. Our democracy, don't let us disturb ourselves. So anytime you see governor talking about true federalism, you just look at them, you shake your head. With the situation we have now, our democracy was created
for the governors,
unknowingly by the military for the governors, because the template of the way military works, they work through their state administrator, and that was the thinking they put into drafting our constitutions. Now, these our governors is not peculiar to only Dr. Abiodun. All of them.
I just have to highlight this.
Remember the last 2 weeks, I told you in every state we always have 3 governors. Every state. It is unconstitutional. One is constitutional out of the 3, but we always have 3. There are some states they have 3. There are some states they have 2. There are some states they have 1. Let me break it down. There are some states, godfather, a single godfather is different from party leaders. Then you have the governors. In some states they have the 3. In some states they have 2.
And in some states 1.
In some states they pack all that 2 under him.
So he's just the governor.
So anytime you see a speaker proving long head with the governor of a particular state, that governor is just number 3 out of the 3 governors in that state.
So it's a placeholder.
So the other 2, yes, now the other 2
are the ones controlling
and the one controlling it. Any place you see it where they say commissioner 45 and now you should know that that governor is number 3. The 2 other governors
are the real governors.
Then let's now look at all the governors together. I know a governor. This is not that they told me. I was there. Call all the meeting of the local government chairman. And he's calling them by name. What is how many workers do you have in your local government? You stand up and put his hand on the back. He will mention it. Now say accountant, he's talking about accountant general of that particular state. How much is their wage bill for their workers? He will mention it. Okay. Give this one. After that, this local government, this one, I send him some message. He did not give me 5 million. No, this one 3.5 million.
Sharing that with his personal money.
And that's all. After that, he will stand up. They all stand up and he went away. Yes, that is the end for that particular month.
Money has been appropriated.
Yes. Then 2, I know a particular governor. Immediately the Jack is a pause. They've created for states, so they will ask them to come. When they now come, we are giving you 25 million for this month. Because your local government is big, 40 million. So those people that will be calculating it. So they will now say make the money available, but make it available in 2 times, and that is the thing. Then another thing again is that there are some certain governors. They did not only control the resources in their state, they control the 3 M's inside the governance. They control all men, from the senator representing their states, the house of rep in their states, the house of assembly, the commissioner, the chairman of the local government, the councillor, even the party faithfuls in their party. They control everything. Then there are some, they control the materials. You've never heard of a governor, a governor's wife, that is a contractor, is a sole contractor. He will now delegate it to other contractors that have been bidding through the governor.
You know, Nurudi, we can highlight or give examples of different things happening at different states, with the governors just taking charge. There's a long list that we can't exhaust it.
I heard a story in one of the north central states, and this is the joke. The the TV screen is actually in government house, but the remote control is somewhere.
Deciding
no.
that one is even many.
We just have for long, sure. But the thing is this: whether we like it or not, all of these call for dividends of democracy. We need infrastructure upgrade. We need people to really feel governance. If we look at cumulatively, the powers of the governors, like Barrister Curtis said, if you control close to 50% of the resources of the federation, it goes to them. And if you look at it, somehow, that's minus the fact that they are able to hijack resources going to the local government. If you look at the powers, we ask ourselves, how do we get out of a situation where these governors just do whatever they like? There's nothing to show, they're just there. Like I said, there are governors that, we can talk about Lagos Ogun because, of course, they are in the eye of the storm. We remember them. The news is always around them. But I'm sure that as we are seated here, there are some states I will say, okay, who is the governor? You might not even remember.
There are some governors.
Because
let me give you an example of Gombe.
I don't like to make Barrister Curtis.
No, Gombe. Let's use example of Gombe. If a governor will come out on the state television and told a former governor and a senator, till I'm going to finish this tenure of 4 years, you must not enter this state.
And
yes.
When that one want to enter during the primary, he has to use a lot of force and whatever. And there are a lot of them. I know a particular governor because I wrote a story at that particular time against his Ministry of Education on superb money. And they invited me, and I went there. And he told me promptly, and that particular governor is still alive. In fact, in the last election, he wanted to be president. And he told me promptly that I was told, you are the one that wrote the story, that you even scanned the check, because God held them to my hand like this. I have the check. So they scanned it inside the story. He now said, you are the one, Abi. I will give you 2 days to pack all your loads
from this state.
From this state. I don't want to see you in this state. I have told you, I have called your publisher. They should remove you as a correspondent to this particular state. And that's what he told me. A governor of a state.
All right, Joseph.
You know why they have this power? Let's start from Ijebu East. By now, the wonderful people of Ijebu East you will just give support to that local government chairman and say, do you know what? I think you are fighting for us. Let's see what we can do to assist you. But this is the secret of one thing that the governors always do. Every state, the governor are very, very interested who become the director of DSS that is coming to their state. The CP of their state, the commandant of civil defense, all
they get very interested.
The head of security agency.
In their different states.
The governor in Nigeria are very, very smart. Immediately, these guys are your friend. If someone say anything, just for you to put a call to whoever that you need, go and pick that person, and anyhow, just keep him. So something happened in one of the southwest states, and someone was telling me on Wednesday, they say just some people, they come to his house, knock, police just say, oh, we have a petition against you. They took him to the station. The following day, arraigned him in court, and I said, and then you would have sent invitation. If the person did not honor the invitation, then you can do all those processes. The reason is the person from up is interested. They are just acting a script. So the only way that Nigeria can be free from the hand of the governor stroke emperor is if we can beg them, maybe through the imam, the pastor, the head of Shiran, and to beg them and say,
that they are also opposed to inside their garden too.
Nigeria need to breathe. Because there was a time in Lagos here whereby
it's not going to work.
So what can work? Because I seated here, I'm looking at the issue of, okay, there's this call for restructuring through federalism.
They will not.
Constitutional
If they
amendments.
did not approve it, it cannot work.
This is why democracy is being eroded. Democratic culture in Africa has been eroded. When the ordinary people sit down and say, this is not about us, this is about them. All right? The Nigerian constitution may be inadequate, but I can tell you what is more inadequate is the mindset and the hearts of the people, of the Nigerian people. I've argued this place. Look, if you look at that constitution, that the only loopholes political office holders will find is to tell you, oh, it's not adequate, the constitution gives too much power to the president and all that. But the reality is that constitution that everybody tells you is not good, in that same constitution, under part 2, it says no Nigerian will go to bed hungry.
Yes.
It says Nigerians are entitled to housing.
Or fairism.
Do you understand? Nigerians are entitled to security and protection from their government. The welfare and the security of the people shall be the primary purpose
Did they read that part?
of government.
No, that
What are
was
they? Do you understand what I'm saying? But they keep making these excuses. And we said here last Sunday that nations, Alexander de Tocqueville, a philosopher from France, who went to the United States as a young man, and he was writing his book, and he said, America's exceptionalism is in the exceptional qualities of ordinary Americans. He saw how citizens were going out of their ways to build houses for the poor, building malls, markets, you understand? Churches going out, mosques going out, helping people. Now, the problem we have is that we have people of low, very small mindset who think that living is just about them for the moment. The fact that you are governor today does not mean you'll be governor forever. In fact, in the worst case scenario, we only endure you for 8 years.
8 years,
You must
that's
leave.
it.
So why don't you go out there and do something that we outlive you and leave a legacy? And this is what we need to do. We can't sit down. Let me tell you, the powers of the governors are not limitless under that constitution.
Of course,
Yes.
there are
In
supposed to
fact,
be some checks here.
They don't even have the power that they have arrogated to themselves.
Yes.
But the mechanism for checks and balances have all been,
Yes, so
pocketed by these governors.
what is therefore corrupt is the political process in this country.
Yes.
And that is what is giving the governors the
I
power.
Yeah.
Look at the political system, for instance, where the governor, as the leader of his party in the state, decides who gets what within the party structure. That has always been the problem. And if you cannot, you see, this is why I said this gated community democracy is not going to lead us anywhere. Democracy is supposed to be an integrated community. The son of a poor man can get up with the right ideas, tickle the fancies of the voters,
And be elected.
and he gets elected to the office.
No, not in Nigeria. By Zacot, not in Nigeria.
You has money to buy
I've
from
said
stuff.
it. Obama could never have won the local
If not
government election in
in
Kenya.
even of course in
Do you
Kenya,
understand?
in state of origin.
Look at his background. A single mother gave birth to him. Father left him when he was 2 years. Raised by his grandparents with a funny name in America. And yet the American people saw his talent.
And listen to him.
Listen to him. He was talking about change.
Even the
In
way he became a
Washington.
senator is another
Yes.
thing again.
And he became the president. President of the United States.
And Obama, yeah.
Let me tell you, do you know, can you point to anyone in this country who rose because of his talents
And became whatever.
and became whatever?
No. No.
That's why a governor will sit in the state capital and pass instructions to senators to oppose a bill that is going to help the people in the country.
And it will happen.
And it will happen. I told the story here.
But by Zacot, didn't we see videos of a senator kneeling to thank a governor for supporting a ministerial nominee?
I told the story here. I told the story here how I and some few friends had approached the then Speaker of the House of Representatives to say to him, Mr. Speaker, you owe this country one thing. Please get local government autonomy. The man looked at us and said, you have asked me the hardest thing
In life.
in life. The governors will kill me, but we will try it. They brought that motion. First reading, second reading, third reading. Governors instructed
That they should
their
kill it.
representative to kill the bill. This is the problem. So we need to expand. Look at the political party. An average political party in this country, right, is filled with supporters of the powerful people. You can't even get anybody from outside. That's where they start rigging the political
So you're
process.
going with your own different idea. You are stifled out. You can't even function.
You can't breathe.
Because look at what happened during the APC primaries. No, the APC convention where members were chosen by what is it? By consensus.
Consensus, okay,
By
yes.
consensus. What happened? They simply shared the positions
Across the
country.
the country.
Oh, North Central, you have the national chairman of the party. Northwest, you have the first vice chairman. South, publicity secretary. Not into the party by their governors. Where the son of a many people don't have that independence. You see, this is the reason why
Now
they fund you and you can't raise enough money, you will drop out of it. And the raise to the president, they are invested.
Yes.
and you are
We drain the people who are running for political
issue of over monetization and spend what the
no,
government
so
can
spend,
spend.
it's
Because we are talking about all of these things we discuss almost on the daily. Constitutional frameworks to
term of local government. A local government should not be a institution working towards a more perfect union. They have amended the Congress. Let them stop this.
Pretend that we know of the security in the state. They can mobilize the secure deceiving. I don't have issue with the president. Every president, I want to make sure that you see the challenge we have is allow now. If you give our, I don't know where they are going of the other arm of members of House of Assembly committee and a member of a committee that can try that. In fact, they will crush the person. So what constitution? But the governor forum, anytime the president want to do any particular,
they come together like this.
They come together. Either they approve or they disapprove.
See, the political parties have different kind of governor forum now. You have the APC governors forum, you have the PDP governors forum, you have the North Central.
Geopolitical zone.
The South.
You have the Northern Governors Forum. You have the Southern Governors Forum. Now, all these are political blocks. But the question is, what are they blocking for?
The result of that block.
No,
it's never.
It's for themselves now.
Yes, you saw that before the 2023 elections, even before we started talking about the election cycle, the Southern Governors Forum was very active in demanding for power
to shift to the south.
And they were doing so across party lines, because each time they met, all the governors would be there or represented by some of their deputies. Okay, now the division came about when they found out that within the APC there were movement
here and there, yeah,
that some of the governors preferred, unlike the PDP that gave their ticket to the north.
To the north.
But the interesting thing was that the first governor that was appointed to zone the presidency in the PDP was the former governor of Enugu State. From the south. He didn't find the courage to do so. And then the autumn committee came and they decided
nothing
to
happened
open and all that. So the point we are making here is that, look, these governors have enormous power and they can use this power for the common good of everybody.
If they so wish.
But what we have seen so far is that when someone becomes the governor, he begins to accumulate power and the resources of the state just because he wants to remain relevant. So that even when he ceases to be governor,
he controls the affairs of the state.
He still wants to be in charge. Okay, look at the case of River State. I saw a documentary this afternoon on one of the TV stations where former commissioners, others were lined up to give testimony about this guy, what he has done.
About Nyesom Wike.
Yes.
After he has left.
Yes.
They are still talking about
it. You understand?
No, they did that a few days that you want to. They now pack it as a documentary. They are just using it.
So who is paying for that documentary?
It's the state now. Which one is that?
You know the funny thing? And this is where the except for very few states in Nigeria, what happens is the governor that is outgoing determines who his successor will be. It's never about the people. And this is what I see, after every election or after every party primaries, that's when religious organizations will wake up in this country
and begin to.
And I say to them, the train already left the station before you came with your ticket. Because if party A gives me baboon, and party B gives me monkey, and party C gives us a chimpanzee or orangutan, they are all the same family. You have to choose one
out of it.
Yes. So they wake up too early, and this is why we need to get everybody involved. And because of the level of poverty, they weaponize poverty to control the politics. So you will see somebody who is elderly, well respected, well read. He looks at a small boy who is just about 32. He says, "My leader."
My leader. A leader.
Look, I went to attend a political meeting where a general that was on the line to becoming head of state in this country at a point got up to speak to this illiterate guy.
And he was calling him my leader.
Very crooked guy. He stood up and addressed him as my leader. I carried my things and left the place.
Is his leader here?
Yes.
Then in addition, Fuad, do you know that the governors, there is a particular governor, let me mention this one. He said one of the genesis of Ogun State issue is this. They said all those chairmen, immediately they were sworn in like this, they pack all of them to a particular bank. They open an account for them, for the local government. They fill it in the bank. After filling it, they gave them an account number. They are not the signatory. They only receive alerts.
We got that allegation.
Yes, but where I'm not going is this. Do you
And that's
know,
why we are trying to bring Wale Adedayo to ask him those questions.
But where we are now going is that our governors in Nigeria, don't forget, they host the National Assembly.
Most of the guys are their, political stooges.
So there is no senator that became a senator only by his power without his governor.
Do you know one thing that I've noticed about?
So
I noticed.
they are, in fact, the only way we can do is for people to be involved in Nigerian politics.
People to stand up and join them.
People need to be involved. When you are involved, then another thing again is that Nigerians also need to change their attitude. If a poverty that has not killed you from 1999 till date,
it's not that one.
It's not going to kill you till 2000. Some of the thing there is that because of poverty, majority of Nigerians has lost their dignity. Majority of Nigerians. That's why I said the day Wale Adedayo, I saw it be swearing in, and they said chairman. I said problem. It's just that one political party should give me. I should be local government chairman. They know that instantly inside that particular party,
there's problem.
That is going to be a problem.
Anyways,
there's going to be a problem.
Well, I want us to move to
there's one major problem that we have, and I feel that maybe by Tağᴇ will help us. I was in a place, and it was a visit to a governor, and I have to tell the guy, I said, this is one of the biggest problems that were, in quote, the men of God that were there. Before then, they already told them what is in it for them after the meeting. When they now reach there, they say, let us pray. They pray. In fact, from beginning to end, it was lying throughout.
The prayer.
No, the whole conversation was lying, deception.
Okay, falsehood, yeah.
Falsehood. And these are clergymen. So what I'm appealing
now before the governor.
Forget that thing. Clergymen we read in the Bible and the rest of them, these are people who stand
power, yeah.
for something.
People, yeah.
But nowadays, even though they said they are hungry, but the deception is this. The way Nigeria have been, I think they are using prayer to actually take Nigeria down. Because there's something that you don't need prayer for.
Joseph.
There's something that you need to speak to Pastor Oga. This thing you want to do is not, it will not benefit the community. But these men of God, some of them is in their name is in the reverse order.
I want us to move to the next.
We need to change it.
Let me tell you, the political elites are like the political elites are like octopus. They have their representatives in the economic sector. They have representatives in the religious sector. Trust me, they have their representatives in the military. They are everywhere. And that is why when one group gets into power, they drag the others along. So don't be carried away. Don't think that only those in Abuja
are politicians.
Are the politicians.
We have clergy politicians.
In the banking sector,
they have
their people who do all the movement of cash and all that all that for them.
So what do they use our clergymen to do?
The clergymen,
yes,
they give them legitimacy.
Okay.
Because they know that we're a super religious society.
So whatever my father-in-law says,
many of us are victims of brain snatch operations. So whatever, do you know that some people have gone out to cast a vote just because one GO said this is our candidate,
and they know without questioning it.
The problem in Africa is that we look out for our leaders. Why in a place like the United States, voters look out for themselves?
Which one is going to favor me and my family?
It's about me, not about the leader.
Look at the midterm election in Pennsylvania, where Mehmet Oz, that was supported by former President Trump, he has the MAGA crowd, and then John Fetterman, who was lieutenant governor in the state, but he has stroke, and the theme of his campaign was, John will always fight for the ordinary man.
And that was the only
John
thing.
is in the fight for the ordinary man.
And he sold him.
And the people say, we know John. Mehmet, we always see her on TV as a celebrity. And they voted for John. Even though today he's sick, tomorrow he wakes up next tomorrow.
But because he sold the idea of he's for the people.
He's fighting for the people. In Africa, voters fight for their leaders. Why in other parts of the world, voters fight
for themselves.
That's the problem. So we need to first of all show them that we mean to fight for ourselves,
not the leaders.
Yes.
All right, it's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We have Barrister Curtis Adigba in the studio, Nuruddin Adegbenro, and we Joseph Folorunsho. And together we've looked at the first issue on the roundtable this evening: the governors, the emperor governors, and how to hold them accountable. From what I've been able to get from my analysts, I think we have a long way to go. There's no light at the end of the tunnel anyway. It's a dark tunnel, to get our governors to be accountable to the people. Because I've tried to ask different questions from constitutional reforms to legislative reform.
They'll block it.
You will meet them there.
So I don't want to go the line of it's a lost hope, but let's hope that one thing will happen one day to get people that are selfless, to become governors in the different states. Like Mr. Curtis and my panelists have said, the Second Republic had a group of governors who could say were fantastic by all standards.
Healthy competition.
Let us even look at the Southwest. The name still resonates till today.
They were a team of rivals, and they knew that they needed to move this country forward.
And
if you go to Plateau State today, the people are still talking about what Solomon Lar did.
Since when?
What Solomon Lar did. In fact, after Solomon Lar, the next governor of Plateau had was Jonah Jang. If you go there, I was there 2 weeks ago. You say, who did this road? Oh, it's Jonah Jang. Who did this? It's Jonah Jang. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And what these people don't understand is that the works you do will live after you.
Yes, that's the legacy you are living.
Long after you have gone.
There's one place called Orile-Igbeyin. It's under Obafemi Owode local government. If you pass through Abeokuta, inside that place there is a state road in between that somebody can take. It's not far away from where when you enter through Sheon. Could you believe that this particular road, anytime I pass this road, this thing is an old road? And I asked one elderly woman, he said, this road that you are seeing, the road, you will know that this whole road,
well done, but properly
you
done.
will see the coaches. He now said, this road that I'm seeing, it was done during the time of Olabisi Onabanjo, and that is the only road in that vicinity since that period.
That you can say it's a good road.
Until now.
And they were the ones that were jailed for so many years. For stealing.
Well, let's move to the second issue. Again, in setting the agenda, we are looking at tertiary education in Nigeria, and a lot has been said since the new President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to power. I think the first thing about tertiary education in Nigeria was the issue of the student loan. The update on that is that conditions to the student loan are now being reviewed after the criticisms of the conditions attached to it. But while we're still dealing with the issue of the student loan, a lot of Nigerians or supporters of the APC had praised that as a very laudable idea. But as it is, there's no finality to it, because the last, like I said, we heard was that there's a committee trying to review and they're trying to check to ensure that, really indigent students have access to the student loan. But just last week, Professor Tᴜɪ̀ᴛᴛᴇʀ announced that the government was already considering the idea of full autonomy for tertiary institutions in the country, for the federal universities particularly in the country. And that has been met with a lot of criticisms. I think the first to jump on that issue was the ASUU president, Professor Emmanuel Oshodieke, who said that, look, the federal government should be very careful. And his arguments were quite clear, which I've tried to highlight. I think we'll use whatever the ASUU president said as the point of our discussion this evening. He talked about the fact that, look, nobody's against autonomy for our universities, but we should make a distinction between administrative autonomy and financial autonomy. He also talked about the fact that, look, that the university system will not be the only autonomous institution that is still being funded by government. He talked about the judiciary, which is supposed to be autonomous, but still being funded by government. He talked about the legislature, which is an autonomous institution in the country that is still being funded by government. And look, why is it that the university is the one government wants to take their hands off? And he also talked about the fact that, look, even in the US, that people say, oh, tertiary education is expensive, people pay. That's why you have grants, you have loans, you have all manner of scholarships, to support brilliant indigent students. He also talked about the fact that, look, the taxpayers' money, through this 2%, that TED fund.
Yes.
That, look, the deployment of that fund still has a lot of questions around it, whether it is being deployed properly. And I think ultimately what he said is that, look, if you do financial autonomy, how do you get a Nigerian that earns 30,000 naira minimum wage, but has a brilliant child who has passed, all the necessary exams? How would that child have access to education. Again, he brought the idea of the conditions attached to the student loan. You have to earn over 50,000 naira. Sorry, you have to earn below 50,000 naira to be able to access the loan. And up till now, nothing has been done. So what is he saying is that, look, yes, the university can be autonomous. The university can look at different sources of financing. But the idea of the government saying they will not fund the university system again would be a problem. In my research, by Mr. Curtis, I've had to check countries that still run a completely free university system. Quite a number of countries in Europe still have completely free university education for their people. Saudi Arabia, an oil-producing nation, has education free at all levels. Quality. Germany has free education, free tertiary education. Finland, Republic, Iceland, Switzerland, Mexico, Uruguay, Bulgaria.
In Switzerland, I have a friend who lives in Geneva. In 2019, I was there to visit him. And he told me a story that I was just cracking up. He said when they arrived in Geneva, different schools within their area were coming to visit him in the house.
Do evangelism.
Yes, and trying to market the school to him. So he was saying, look, if I'm going to pay the schools of my children, I should be able to go around and see the schools that I want. The school said, no, you don't have to pay anything. It's free.
It's free.
Yes, it's free for you. Because the government is the one paying the school fee.
I've argued that, amongst other things, the government in Nigeria cannot fund tertiary education. It's time for them to look for money anywhere so that we can get the desired quality. You know, that's the argument of a lot of people who are pushing this idea of autonomy for our tertiary institutions. But for people who are arguing again that, look, what then does the government give back to the people? You remove subsidy, you remove that, you know, taxes everywhere, electricity is at all-time high. Then what then can you give back to the people? Are you for or against this call for autonomy at the tertiary level by Mr. Curtis?
Let me start with a quote from Joe Biden, Professor of Education, First Lady of the United States.
Jill Biden, yes, the wife of the president.
She said, if they out-educate us,
if they out-educate us,
they will also out-develop us. And that's the reality. When countries like the United States go out of their way to introduce programs that will encourage people to go to school, they know what they are doing. Because they know that the path to development
is education.
Is education. George Bush, the Jr., enacted No Child Left. From primary to secondary school level, you don't pay school fees.
Nothing.
What you pay are basic money for food for the children. When they go to school, they eat. That's what you pay. Now, in our own country, even when they say it is free, it is better not free.
because you get nothing.
Because
from
it's
that
worthless.
It's worthless, yes. Free and worthless.
You see children sitting under trees, being beaten by rain. You say, look, in this country, let me tell you, don't believe anybody who say to you that we don't have enough funds to fund it. All our citizens. What Nigeria does not have is enough resources to meet the greed
of the politicians,
of the political elite. Nigeria is one country in the world where the president and the governors are provided everything for
free.
Everything. And their family.
Including jewelries for their wives. All the diamonds and the gold necklaces, the trinkets.
Free of charge.
The junketing with private jets or government jets. All at the people's expense. Do you know how much money is budgeted for food in each state
government house?
Even cutleries alone. Cutleries. Is every year they change cutleries.
Look at the annual budget. If we use our resources well and focus on the people, there are too much unnecessary costs in governance. Look at the number of people we have employed in government who are performing no specific duties. One governor will wake up and appoint 90 SAs to do what?
He's advising you.
And then they also will appoint their own SAs.
Yes.
So you have and PAs too. PA to SA.
Let me tell you, it is a matter of priority. If we make education priority,
we'll fund it.
We will fund it. Now, having said that, the United States funds only 2 universities. The federal government. Number 1, the military academy. That's one. The fund. And the second one is the Black College in Washington, which was established to encourage black people to go to college.
To go to school.
That's where the former Minister of Petroleum, Desani Allison, went. in Washington there. And so many Nigerians also went there. Now, I support some level of autonomy
for our
universities. And don't forget that in the past, the universities were autonomous because universities were able to generate their funds. Let me tell you, look at the University of Lagos, for example. They make a lot of money from some of the activities.
Yeah.
You park your vehicle, you pay. You exceed certain amount of time, you pay more, right? University of Lagos has got a radio station where they carry adverts. They have jobs for people.
They have Unila holding.
They produce water and some other things.
They produce bread.
Now, we have come to a point where those who manage our universities have got to be creative. I am not saying that government should not intervene with funding from time to time.
So it's okay.
Government
we can balance it. That's what they are saying.
You should have a hybrid approach.
Okay.
Where the universities are autonomous.
Generate some funds.
Generate their funds internally. You understand? Look, even the issue about the poor cannot go to school. We know how other countries have dealt with it. When universities make themselves valuable, individuals who are wealthy, we go there and give them money.
To support different...
It's called endowment. The Saudi Arabian royal family has huge endowment in Princeton University in the US. I know a Nigerian lawyer, top lawyer, who gave UPenn $1 million. University of Pennsylvania. My daughter met him when he went there. If anybody is looking for admission in UPenn, and that man gives you a letter, it's as good as the richest man in India, the Ambali guy, he has an endowment in the same UPenn, $5 million. And you have so many individuals like that. The reason why rich Nigerians can't put funds in our universities is because they think the universities are not serious. So, I don't want us to just back at the idea of autonomy. The government has not shown that they can fund education to the point that our education will become so worthy.
For people to even be a part of it.
In those days, carry a certificate from University of Ibadan, University of Ife, University of Benin, and go to anywhere abroad. You are respected. Is it the same thing today? So, it's important that we need to get creative. This whole idea that the way we have done it before must be the way we'll continue. The same ASUU president that is talking, he's been in the trenches for over 2 years. What does he achieve from there? So I think it is now time, even for wealthy individuals, to begin to step in, adopt universities like they do in America, adopt a road and build it.
To part of the funding.
What the federal government can do is to create, like in America, you have what is called the Sallie Mae. That is the agency that gives student loan, and it's a private organization. Now, what you can do is government will have different kind of intervention funds in education
that you can tap from.
Individuals who
do we have that now?
We have some people doing that. Do you know? But what I'm saying is that instead of even the student loan, government can go out and establish threshold metrics. Oh, you are indigent, but you are brilliant, and you have scored this kind of result, okay? And you need to go to school. Federal government can give you some funds to go to school. It doesn't even have to be a loan. Look at what the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation are doing all over the world, giving scholarship to people. So this whole idea that education must be funded by the government, I think we need to start moving away from it, because the government at all levels.
So your hybrid approach is that, look, we can have government still funding while the university gets created. Okay, you are completely from funding the schools, and that's where the problem is. So you think it has to be a form of hybrid approach, because where
I think the mindset, the argument they are making is that once it's full autonomy, the school fees will go up, and that most poor people cannot afford it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that even if we start with a hybrid with the aim to go full autonomy in the future, we can put in places programs that will assist indigent people.
So it's not just for us to wake up one day and hear that government is not funding education.
No, that's not.
All right, Joseph Folorunsho,
I think
how do we create that balance as suggested by Barrister Curtis?
It's just for government to know the importance of education. See, government should know that education is equally way, or when you are funding education, you are equally finding a way to check the security, know what is happening in the security world in the system. For example, today we are dealing with issue of banditry, Boko Haram and the rest of them, just because of we don't have data. Tell Nigerian government are yet to know that if you are putting money in education, you're able to know the data in and people that are in those schools. If there's any person that is trying to maybe deviate from becoming a defiant, you say, okay, through the school, you can quickly correct that. Then the other one is this. Education is equally a business. If government fund education properly, Nigeria can be exporting lecturers to other African countries, whereby we get a lot of money in return. So what we're just seeing in Nigeria is we don't have people who will sit down and say, you know what, there are many ways of you getting money from government. All our money is oil. If it is not oil, I don't know. I think I read one story from Philippines that they sometimes they actually export a lot of their human capital to other countries and generate a lot of money. Nigeria want to go to school. There's no house that you go to Nigeria. Children then want to go to school. The government can capitalize. Okay, let's invest in get the data. Then by the time you send children from Nigeria to Gambia, to Canada and the rest of them, at the end of the day you'll be getting some money, some benefit from some of it. But the challenge we just have is I think we need people who know what the meaning of governance in the system.
No, I'm more for the question to you will be about indigenous students, the poor of the poor, really in all of this. And recently some federal universities had increased their sundry fees. Almost all of them. They said tuition was free, but sundry fee had gone up. But whatever it is, fees had to go up. Eventually, NANS, I think, has forced UNILAG to promise a reduction in those fees. I don't think we have the exact amounts now.
They just reduced 10,000.
But again, a lot of students had protested that increment. People are still talking about it. We've seen parents who have even said that, look, if we are doing 40, 50 something thousand naira, you change it to 200,000, we have to withdraw our kids from those schools. For poor Nigerians, if eventually the president or the federal government decides to answer off the funding of attach, what happens to them? How will they cope? Do you think the student loan thing would help to get some of these students having access to tertiary education in the country?
Well, with the glory of God, I've been a member of the management board of one college of education. I've been a member of academic board at least for good 7 years. So I've been a member of a senate of a private school, and I know what they do there. Sir, if the autonomy that they are talking about, I'm telling you, is going to take many people away from school. Don't let us deceive ourselves. Let me give you one or two things. Do you know that for what can bear me witness? Do you know that all those polytechnics in Ogun State that is known that poor people can go to?
Very expensive. When you say poor, it depends on the poor. The poor of the poor.
Okay, wait. Because no, a situation in which a school is collecting acceptance fees, 50,000, 75,000 naira. I'm not talking about school fees or acceptance fees. Do you know that in Ogun State, I can speak for Ogun State Institute of Technology, Igbesa, because I happens to be the pioneering HOD of Department of Mass Comm. Do you know that the school is the one paying the salary of all the staffs?
So are you saying some state schools, government are even...
The structure that the rector wants to put, he has to be putting it like a contribution, like Ajo, for 2, 3, 4 months. If he wants to build this all, you ask them to cost it, and you will now be removing little whatever they collect from students.
It's what they used to do.
We always suffer, especially in the holiday, because the salary will be delayed.
Your students are not in school.
They are not in school now.
So what I seen that some state universities have even...
They've even, you see in my school, they are in a state, they have state university or state polytechnic like 5, 6.
And it's free.
Go and ask those lecturers in those schools. Then another thing again is this, the amount they are even paying the lecturers here, there is no scale they are using. They are not using contacts, they are not using whatever, they are using that school, what the school can afford.
It's what they are paying the lecturers.
Now, if this issue of autonomy, ordinarily,
That why you resign?
Ordinarily, no. One thing there is.
Have I just left you?
One thing there is that in my life, I have never done one work in my life.
But you have to. But do you think that? Let's just so that because of time, I want to open the phone lines. I can see messages already dropping on our Facebook platform.
The simple thing is there. The government want to shift the liability to the school. Okay. Go and spend the money for yourself. And with that, what it means is this. Every of these schools, what they will do is this. The first thing they are going to do, they will increase their fees. And when they do that, you are taking the school out of the reach of the people. Then the second one is this. What the government could have done is this. Take the angle of infrastructure and also
okay, that the government should take care of infrastructure in the school. Okay, all right.
That one is one. Okay. Then two, create a little way where every student that wants to go to school, either he has money or he did not have money, or he should have a route to go to school. Then leave the rest to the school. They can take care of that. But one thing there is that, tell me which governor in the last 15 years that have built a good infrastructure for all the tertiary institutions in the state, owned by the states. Even the almighty Lagos cannot boast of that. Then another thing again is this. The poor of the poor. Don't let us deceive ourselves. In fact, there are some certain state university in Nigeria. Send your children to private university. It's better than going to that particular school, because a state school that is collecting about, at the end of the every cumulated to 250,000, and you have a private school that is 350,000 naira. No strike, nothing. Is it not better to take, with the difference of 100,000 naira, take it to a school? Because we know there are some private schools. They are about 350, 400 for a session.
Depending on the cost.
But there are some certain private school. We know some one school in the southwest here. When they created that school, the school is not up to 10 years now. When they created that school, they started with 150,000 naira tuition fee. It's a state-owned school.
All right. But by Sakotis, because we need to open the phone lines.
For me,
I'm still more about the balance you talked about. Creating that balance between government taking up some things, and then these universities also generating funds to take care of some other things.
Everything starts with a decision and a strategy. Government cannot just wake up and say universities are going full autonomy.
Because the subsidy went.
You know why? But the government is having a hard time now dealing with the fall.
They will do it, and the after will continue. This government.
The purpose of experience is that
people learn from it.
Two people
for Nigeria.
Two people don't have to suffer the same thing to learn the same lesson.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you what you see. There's no reinventing the wheel. We know how people have dealt with education. First and foremost, we have a threshold that every nation that is serious about education must meet in terms of budgeting for education. Consistently, we have never attained that threshold. Number two, we have not even made education a priority.
Yes.
Do you understand? We have not made education a priority in this country, but we talk about it. We're very vocal about it, but we don't match our words with action.
Agencies.
So government first and foremost must determine that education is important. And number three, not everybody must go to university.
Yes, I agree.
That's one area we're making a mistake.
Well, for those that are qualified to go.
Those that are qualified.
And they don't have the money.
Yes, that's where the programs I'm talking about, federally assisted programs for education, whereby federal government can give grant to indigent students in form of scholarship. We've done it in this country before.
But
many of the states were sending people even to abroad.
But with the level of corruption we have, you create scholarship schemes now. Some people will hijack it.
Even the swapping of students from states,
it will be a problem.
Before.
Do you know that the amnesty program collapsed at some point?
Corruption.
So this is why, if you then make a proper arrangement, right, whereby there will be commitment, there will be honesty, there will be that desire to do what is right by the country and by the people. You understand? It starts with the decision. Make education a priority, give education the right budget, and ensure that the budget is implemented for the people. You know, recently we saw cases of Nigerian students who went on scholarship and were abandoned in their countries.
Yes, and they are threatening to throw them out.
And threatening to throw them out. So it's important. And you know the funny thing, education is not on an exclusive list. Now, you have states that can't even manage one university. They're establishing new universities.
Creating new ones for political reasons.
Because of politics. And I'm saying, why don't you concentrate on that one?
And expand, build it,
if you
do it
go
well.
to some of the state universities, primary schools.
It's called glorified secondary schools.
I think some of this thing will stop. Some of this thing will stop if Nigeria government stop using the citizen as a placebo. You understand? But they use us. If you look at the last Naira swap, is that you are using human being to test a policy, which is only Nigeria can do that. The same thing too. If you say you want to,
and they can do that because they know you will never fight back.
Yes.
So then again, if you want to say full autonomy, you have to find a way to study the situation first and know the consequence of you just going full blown say full autonomy. There's a lady now that I have, that lady till tomorrow when he wake up, he swear for Nigeria every day. And this is what happened. This lady applied for University of Lagos, want to do political science. It's called the more than 7 mark more than the cutoff.
Yeah.
And I have to go to the admission office because of that lady. The lady I met said he's not supposed to do mathematics because he applied for political science. That's why we will not give her admission. And I asked the lady, I said, madam, can you put in for JAM and you put mathematics? Is mathematics a forbidden subject in Nigeria? You accept mathematics in O level. You now say you put mathematics in JAM. And that JAM mathematics, this lady, he had the highest score in that mathematics. And I say, see, the challenge we have in the system is everything we don't know what. If they just say everybody follow left, that is where we are following. We will not sit down and say, okay, do you know what?
Can we do it differently?
Can we do it different? So let us sit down and say, just like what Barrister Curtis say, what is the important? Do we play premium on education? What education we are discussing here because by God's grace we're educated. Some people are there now disturbing people in Oshodi. Some people are there disturbing people in Mushi.
What is the education of Lagos State on education? I mean, what is the budget of Lagos State on education?
I don't think it's up to 70%. 7%. Yeah.
Compared to their budget on politics.
On politics, yeah.
So you don't mean education is not important to us?
Well, again,
Yes,
I think
I know a commissioner of education. Lastly, that said that he came for all these with the House of Assembly on education. No, they come for their monitoring, whatever. And I was part of the team that received them. We are just talking. I now asked that they should be giving more money to technology-based courses,
yeah.
like mass comm, whatever. And he faced me. A commissioner for education is still alive. And he said, what is your name? I said, my name is Adegbero Nurudin. You are even from this state. That's good. He now said, what is your school generating for the state? You are not giving us anything to put more on the end.
Do you know the joke I told somebody?
That's reverse intelligence.
I told somebody, I say any area where the governors put their deputies in charge.
There is no money there.
It's not serious.
I see most of them putting their deputies as education.
Anywhere the governor designates
Deputy, go and handle this one. There's no money there.
No, even chairman of the local government, you now say supervisory, the vice chairman
is supervisory.
Double as a supervisory for education.
In the all right. 09136000410. 09136000410. You can also drop your contributions on our Facebook platform. That is Mainland FM 98.3. And then, of course, on YouTube, too. We're also on YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. So you can drop your contributions on any of those two platforms. Facebook, Mainland FM 98.3. I'm going to read all of these contributions out. And if you are watching us on YouTube, you can drop your comments on Mainland 98.3 FM. Definitely, I'll read those comments out. Yeah, the lines are The line is officially open 09136 0000410. Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We've looked at our governors, the emperor-like attitude of our governors, and how to hold them accountable to the electorate. How do we get the governors to know that they are not demigods? They are actually accountable to the people. And then the second issue is agenda setting, the tertiary education in Nigeria. You know, the government is talking already about autonomy. People are calling for caution. What do you think? 09136 0000410. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. All right, 0913 0000410. 09136 0000410. Okay, I think we have issues. Okay, we'll try to sort. While we're trying to sort the phone lines out, let's take messages on our Facebook platform. We have Dayo Dada who is saying, good evening, crew. It's unfortunate that this government does not value education. This is why they will increase school fees from primary to university. It is the same for education in the 70s and 80s that brought many of these rulers into power, but now that they are in power, they want to, they are not serious with education. They believe the more educated you are, the more you can define and fight for your right.
John from Boba.
Oh, all right, Mr. John, good evening. Oh, hello, Mr. John. All right, I think we lost that call. Please do well to call us back. Hello, good evening. Please turn down the volume of your radio set. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, this is Godwin from Ilasa.
All right, Godwin, please go on.
Yeah, thank you so much, Barrister Curtis and Nuruddin. Yeah, always a pleasure listening to you people.
Thank you.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is this. The issue we have in Nigeria is corruption. Because when we say, okay, let us have autonomy, give autonomy to our educational system, at the end, the people who are going to manage it is the problem. We see what is happening with our subsidy. They can just do anything. Look at this thing also, the floating of Naira. So the problem we have in Nigeria is the system. The system is corrupt. We have a situation whereby the politicians, they prefer to have the touts, because those are the people who they are going to use during the time of election. So that is the issue. So for me, I think it's better we still manage to have our uni education being sponsored by the government. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Godwin. 09136 0000410. 09136 0000410. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. John.
Yeah, good evening. My regards to the people at the studio, the barrister. And the other. See, other forward. Look, we will just keep talking about this country, about the leaders. If the people that does not have the interest of the people at heart, where institutions are not working perfectly as it should. You mentioned some countries now, Finland, Denmark, that are offering free education, even up to tertiary level. And I will say that we do not have the money. Calling for autonomy is no. Until we are able to redefine how Nigeria will stay, whether Nigeria will be, or we approach referendum or plebiscite. Democracy is not democracy. Honestly, I've been advocating this. What did you say?
Yeah, with you, Mr. John.
Until we decide about how we are going to stay together, whether we should go for referendum or plebiscite, let us discuss what we want out of Nigeria. Corruption will kill every facet that has been killing every facet of the sector in Nigeria. We will continue to fester.
Right.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. John. 09136 0000410. Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. How are you doing?
Fine.
Okay, I'm Victor calling from Satellite Jam.
Please go on, Victor.
Okay. We have removed subsidy for petroleum. Well, so right now, many months ago, what have we achieved? Can they give us an account?
You won't get
Zero, they cannot. So they have come into education. Look, even when they...
Mr. Victor, can you turn down the volume of your radio? There's this feedback coming.
Okay.
Yes, or move away from it.
Okay. Even when they are providing for education, what is happening at the north? What happens there? some people were unwilling, they decided not to go to school. So now, over now, there are this willingness for us to go to school, the poor. So we want to stop it. At the end of the day, the poor will not be able to get access to the school. They know what they are doing, but I think the end will justify the means. They know what they are doing. So, but definitely they know what they are doing, but they should wait. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, this corruption they are talking about, the masses are not corrupt. It is the politicians, the governors. Look, when they say everybody is corrupt, I don't like hearing things like that. Am I corrupt?
No, I'm not corrupt as well. So
thank God. Are you okay? Thank God. Are you corrupt?
No, all right. Thank you, Victor.
Generally, we ourselves will be.
Thank you, Victor. All right.
Hello,
good evening.
How are you, my Cautions and everybody?
Good evening, Ambassador Mulls. All right, Ambassador, please go on.
Yeah, you know what, Ambassador, I want to disagree with you question.
Okay.
You talk about doing the university before I talk about the ministry. You talk about the sole administrator in all local government. Do you know at that time, these are the use soldiers to go and collect tenement space. They use soldiers in every form, which is very wrong, which I find very wrong. So
what about Democrats using thugs?
Using thugs to
collect.
No,
I'm coming. You don't look at government at that time. You find ministry men there. They collect all tax by force at that time. Now, when we talk about Obaseki, you use only nine assembly members. What Edo people do at that time? Who vote for this assembly member? They keep quiet. They are all about to have his way. Supposing the Edo people stand up that we cannot accept this. No. So the problem we have is that we find that the way we find ourselves, instead of us to put our fight to the government out, we need to preach, mosque, church. We need that God. Is it God our faithful? God has given us everything. What can you change? You only look to churches, look to mosque. What can you do that energy? So the government house. So don't blame any government, don't blame anybody. Only one set of only chairman. I mean, they cannot contest. None of them can sponsor their themselves. The government sponsor is one way fair. Don't pay for that. He said it's true.
All right, thank you, Ambassador Mulls. God bless you. All right, let's please take some messages from our Facebook platform, and then we'll come back to taking phone calls. We have Kayode Olonode who is saying, with all this discrete distribution or governor distribution, no wonder this local government chairman can do joint AJOCO contribution, and they ended having or building hotels here and there. We're trying to piece that together. We have Adebayo Tunde Didon who is saying, good evening, great people in the house. Please help us remember the Nigerian police to do the needful on Mohbad's death. The street is planning protests already and won't rest till we get justice. Well, I don't know. Well, this is political roundtable, but I know the police has said that they are investigating.
No, they started the panel. The investigative panel have started already.
The people that are planning protests. This young man was crying for so long.
Nobody listened to him. No. I told a number of young people that, look, that's a generation that don't pay attention to anything.
Yeah.
You know, they are just about the moment.
They don't care about themselves.
So when the guy was complaining, making videos, nobody did anything.
Yeah.
You know. So we have Akinde Semiu Ido who said, good evening, the wise men. The issue of Nigerians is we do things in reverse way. Local government is the closest tier of government to the people. They know people in their locality more than other levels of government, but people don't concentrate on them. I think that is the advantage for the state governors who are using are acting as emperor over local government chairman. Until local government autonomy is implemented, nothing will happen at the local level. Thank you so much. We have Temple the Prince who is saying, good evening, Mr. Fuad, and the great panelists in the house this evening. I'm enjoying the topic on the table this evening. My take is on Edo politics. I'm from Edo State, and what is playing out in Osadebe House between the governor and his deputy is just politics and alignment. The governor will never allow his deputy to succeed in. Why? Because Philip, who is the deputy, might go back to his former master by name Oshomole and make Obaseki irrelevant when Philip becomes governor. Same way Oshomole relegated Lucky Benedion. Already Obaseki mayor in charge of local government, 10 points for the governor. Sending his deputy out of government house, another good point for him. And I also foresee the governor rendering his deputy a figurehead. All functionaries assignment that ought to be given to the deputy will now go to who the governor feel is okay with, or just to render him politically impotent.
That's an Obaseki man.
Well, I think he's an Obaseki man. I think he's enjoying what is happening. But
again, talking about law here.
Not about
emotions.
And I think it can't be governor for life.
Yes, surely, whether I like it or not.
You know, like we talk about certain agenda.
Yeah, yes.
I think we should also look at certain agenda for this government going forward. Deputy governors should be given specific
roles because they are just
responsibility.
Look at the deputy governor in Ondo State. It's jittery. It's just.
Let me tell you, without a deputy,
yes,
you cannot be elected. It's a joint ticket.
It's a joint ticket.
Even if the certificate of your deputy has clinches,
we saw it
in Bayelsa. They will remove you.
And then somebody gets elected as deputy,
and then the deputy becomes useless.
Look, one former governor described it to us. He said, it is worse to be a deputy. I said he would rather be a commissioner for finance.
Because it's just a complete waste of,
You know what? The pastors and the imams will come and tell the governor, Your Excellency, we had a dream. Oh, this man wants to kill you and take over. He said, when you want to sleep, your governor will say, you can't wake up. When you want to wake up, you say, go and sleep
again.
All
right, let's because we need. I just want to take more messages and then go back to taking phone calls. We are running out of time. Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ Mᴜɪᴜ is saying people deserve the kind of government they have. What happened to Mr. Wáládé of Ìjẹ̀bú local government should be an eye-opener to common people on the street. That we need to ask more questions about governance. We should stop collecting money before we vote for our leaders. We have our fees we say, good evening, Mr. Fuad and the panelists. Good analysis from all of you.
Give me a bottle
Kudos.
For me.
Then we have Basil Chika, who is saying, the truth of the matter is that governors in Nigeria are more powerful than the president with the help of their cult-like governors forum, which has done more harm than good, and there's nothing one can do about it because it cuts across party lines. All right, thank you, Chika Bende from Trade Fair. I had to really shorten that because of time. We have Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ Mᴜɪ̈, who is saying education is a way of developing people's mind. If government is about the welfare of the people, poor people should be considered in whatever decision they make. Kayode Ajuwon is saying, breaking news, military coup has occurred in Congo, Brazzaville this Sunday afternoon. Well, the update is that it has been denied. Yes, there were reports, but I think the report is that nothing has happened.
People are happy to hear about coup now.
So we have Austin. Austin, we say, good evening, Mr. Fuad and the guests. Federal government money is all for Nigerians. Why would the federal government use the money meant for Nigerians to be used for only federal universities only? All the universities in Nigeria, federal, state, and private should enjoy federal government subventions on universities.
What about the state money?
The tax fund is not restricted to federal schools alone. No.
Let's see whether we can squeeze in 2 more calls and then we'll call it a day on the show. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir. This is Collins from Alema,
Collins, please go on, sir. You need to speak up a bit, Collins. We are struggling to hear you.
Education in Nigeria.
Yes.
These present politicians we have, we never allow education to work in Nigeria. The reason is that, for his blessed memory, for Awolowo, when they asked him, why did you bring free education to the West? He said that free education. He said it's only when the people are educated that they can be governed well. This present administration and politicians we have doesn't want to govern us very well. So they want to kill education in Nigeria. Let us talk from now to tomorrow. Nothing will happen. They will continue killing education in Nigeria.
Well, we'll continue to talk and set the agenda. Thank you so much, Collins. Hello, good evening. Please turn down the volume of your radio set. Hello.
Where is Prince Wise today?
I'm sure he's struggling to call him. Hello, good evening. Yes.
Good evening.
Yes.
Larry Bashir.
Oh, Larry Bashir from K2.
Yes.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good morning.
Good evening.
Yes, thank you.
The line is very bad, Larry Bashir. We're struggling to
remove the subsidy of your line. Why not?
You may have to call us back, Larry Bashir. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. This is Okambelina.
Oh, Mr. Okambelina, how are you doing, sir?
Fine, sir.
And now it's Mafoluku.
Mafoluku is here, no road as usual. No good road. Since the governor came and he went to all the churches shaking hands, he has disappeared.
He's going to come. He's going to reappear. You know, he just inaugurated the new his cabinet.
I saw him yesterday.
Leave that one. Leave that one.
All right.
Okay. My take is this. I don't want to talk much. Mr. Fuad, I told you last week that all this thing about education, when they increase fuel, they shared rice as palliative. I think when they have now increased the school fees, just wait for palliative. They will go and start sharing Indomie as palliative. And that's the end of it. That is how they are doing it. I don't know the relationship between fuel and rice that they're sharing. I don't know.
But you can't use fuel to cook rice.
You cannot use rice to drive car.
Look, it is. I've been trying to wrap my head around it.
And when you have rice, you can't use it to drive car.
I can tell you the connection.
What's the connection?
The connection is that the money you have, because you are spending the money on fuel, you might not have money to buy food to eat. So they are giving you the rice to cook.
It's okay. They should continue.
All right.
They should continue.
Thank you, Mr. Kalbi.
Next time, let them come and tell me to vote for them again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, that will be the last call. On a very comical note, because really, the question sounds a bit. But again, what's the connection between fuel and sharing of rice? You took
cooked rice.
Yeah, because once you spend the money that you should be using to buy rice on fuel, then government is giving you rice so you can cook and eat.
Then who is going to now cook it? It's on cook rice now.
Yeah, but you cook it.
All
right. Vice Curtis, let's have your final take. 1 minute. We need to wrap up.
Well, I think the governors are members of the society. They live in this society. And for some of them, even before they were elected, they also felt the way we are feeling in this studio today.
Yes.
They felt like us, they complained like us and all that. But as soon as they go there, they forget about everything that we complained about, and they feel themselves as a privileged group. But you see, that position you hold is a public trust. And you are elected to make the lives of the people better. And you better use it. Otherwise, you see, that's why so many of you, after so many years in power, you start again.
I saw the class of 99 when he was the president. And a lot of them were looking to...
And they start struggling again.
Nobody even remembers most of them.
I'm telling you. So now, just see it as an opportunity to make things better for the people, and they will remember you for it.
All right, make the life of the people better, and they remember you for it. Ʞᴜᴜ.
I think I will say the governor should know the meaning of power, if for you to protect those that are, maybe let me use the word vulnerable, those that are low, and at the end of the day you will be happy. Then the other one is education. If Nigeria must move forward, then we need to give serious priority to education. If not.
All right, we need to give serious priority to education, use power for the benefit of the people.
Well, I'll also be on that too. The first one is education. Nigerians need to wake up. If federal government give full autonomy, I'm telling you, many of your children will not go to school. It's a fact. Then secondly, the governors. One thing that I know very, very well is this. Arishe, Larika, Arika, Oni Baba Iregun.
You have to translate that.
So, whatever you do,
it's what people will say.
No matter what you do, people are going to talk. If you do good, people will say it. And if you do bad, people will never forget. We remember Jakonde today because of what he has done.
So that's the Yoruba translation that he has done it. So all right.
You have not explained why you resigned from that school.
He did it stylishly. All right, this is where we call it a day. Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. Thank you so much, Mr. Curtis Adigba, J∑ I think we've had a fantastic time on the show. Looking at the Emperor Governors and hoping that.
And Arsenal later won. So.
All right. Congratulations, Arsenal fans. But again, I think we need to talk to our governors. Governance is about the people.
Yes.
A lot is on their table to really transform the lives of ordinary Nigerians. And then for the educational sector, we'll continue to talk about it. Yes, autonomy for our universities or our tertiary institutions, but most importantly, this is the time for Nigeria to invest more in tertiary education for the future of the country. My name is Saheed Fuhad. Let's do this again next week.